everyone. Welcome back on the red carpet with Allison. I have a very fun one today. I have an author. He's going to teach me a lot today. I can already tell from our conversations off camera. Joining me today is Tom Tracy. Tom, thanks for coming on the red carpet.
You're very welcome. I'm flattered, so thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh. He spoils me, doesn't he? I paid him to say that, guys. I paid him to say that.
Cash, right? Not check?
Venmo.
Yeah, but that's traceable. So
Before we talk about your works and the anthologies, I want to talk about you, your background, writing experience.
Okay, well, I live in West Pittston, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I've been married for 35 years to my wife, Karen, and I have 3 sons, Quinn, Ian, and Colin.
Oh my goodness.
32, 30, and 28.
Wow.
And, obviously the loves of my life. I have a brother and a sister. I have a brother that's deceased.
Okay.
And my day job, I work in group health insurance sales for a large insurance carrier.
Sure.
I don't know if I can mention it.
No, absolutely. Numbers are not my thing. I failed math several times.
Okay.
Tell me about, well, I guess we should jump right into it. Before we talk about the anthologies,
Yeah.
what is an anthology? Because I had no idea.
So, it's a collection of short stories in this case, right, by various authors. So Howling Hills, of which I'm a contributing editor as well as a writer.
Okay.
We gathered 23 authors in 2023 to submit ghost stories and have, in hopes of having them published. And then we did another one in 2024, which is called 24 Tales.
Okay.
And then in 2025, which just dropped recently. So that's 25 tales. And then we hope to continue on as we go. And then, the publisher has other books available as well, gardening stories, basically Appalachian nonfiction, right?
I'm glad he said it because off camera I said, how do you say this? And tell the story you told because I just found that fascinating.
Yeah, so there are some people in some regions of the country who would take offense if you said Appalachian, right? So the way I learned to distinguish it is my son was a student at West Virginia University, and obviously in the midst of Appalachia, right? So he said the way he learned it was, if you say Appalachia, I'll throw an Appalachia.
See, I would have gotten so many apples thrown at me.
Without a doubt.
What goes into just writing and creating something like this?
Well, the publisher, the editor, who is also a good friend of mine, I got lucky. See, that's how I got published. It's not that I'm talented. It's that I have friends in the industry.
Stop.
He had visited here frequently. And the first story was a story about a legend called the Suskin Screamer, right?
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you've heard about it.
I have not.
In my generation, it's pretty prevalent as a myth. So he said, "Hey man, could you do a story on this?" And of course I said, "Yeah, of course I'll do it." So Terry can be very picky. He's he wants a good story. So when it first came out, like, I tend to write very flowery, these large rambling tales, and Terry kind of cut it down to bare bones, and I was kind of like, "Terry, what are you doing? You're
taking the fun out of it, taking me out of it."
Exactly. But no, and I understood, right? Because you want to have a good story and you don't need all this background. And that's kind of where I went with it. So it made the cut, right? And I had thought at first that he had only 23 submissions for this anthology.
Yeah.
And I feel relieved now that he told me there were actually 60 or 70 and he had to say no to some people.
But hey, it's a good I hate to say it's a good problem to have.
I still made the cut. So that's how it happened. And when 24 came along, he said, "Hey, can you find me another story?" And there was a mining disaster right across the river in Plymouth Township that I don't think many people are aware of. 110 miners died in a fire. So that's the basis for the second story. And then the third one takes place in 2020 in 25 Tales in Mock Chunk or Jim Thorpe.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a hanging surrounding the Molly Maguires, which at
Yes.
the time I didn't know much about. I ended up reading 3 books on the subject. I interviewed the great grandnephew of the person who was hanged.
Wow.
Yeah, and his uncle had written a book that details the injustice, basically, of this hanging
Yeah.
in Jim Thorpe, and it's about the Molly Maguires, and it's a really cool tale, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and that's my story in 25 Tales.
I'm on the edge of my seat. These all sound so great. And it's very important to note every story written, Howling Hills gave you just one, what's the word I'm looking for? One requirement was that they had to be real. And it sounds like you did that.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine. Are they all based in our area or just all over?
So the other authors, it would stretch anywhere that Appalachia is defined. So don't hold me on this, but I think it starts in Georgia.
Okay,
and
I'll
ends-
agree with you. 'Cause
Yeah, I believe
I'm
it in
one.
the Appalachian Mountain Range ends in Maine, and Terry will probably be mad at me if I got this wrong, but sorry, Terry. But yeah, in that area. So we take stories from Greater Appalachia. And the other thing I wanted to mention while we're on the subject is
Yeah.
we're always looking for submissions. So if there are authors out there that hear this podcast, we'd be happy to accept submissions. And in some cases, we will work with writers to take that story and shape it and get it where it needs to be to land it in that anthology.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love providing a space where everyone is welcome. And I'm so happy that you mentioned that. Talk to me, what was the release like? How long from 23 to now did it take to, because was this a timeline? Was this all right, write 23, put it to bed, then work on 24? Or did you just go right into it?
Well, I had some time in between. So basically, like, let's say a year, but we wanted stories earlier.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that goes into publishing a book. It's not just you slap this together, right? There's art, there's typesetting, there's there's creating an ISBN number. There are a lot of things. It's not just, we put these stories together and we throw it to the printer and
Yeah.
out they come. So the earlier we got stories, the better. And it's just like on an annual basis, there would be a deadline. And, I'd say every year or so, we like to get them in. Terry likes to get them in early and, so
You
on an annual
mentioned,
basis.
you also mentioned you're an editor on these projects. Do you have a favorite story from 23 to now?
Well, my editing role is going forward, and we're going to
Okay.
be doing a series of books on sports franchises where we're collecting stories from ordinary people like you and like Joey and like
Yeah.
anybody we're starting with the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? Because that's in our Appalachian market.
Okay.
Pittsburgh has often been called by one person the Paris of Appalachia, believe it or not.
I did, again, I introed it saying he's going to teach me so many things, and he already has. Because when I think of Pittsburgh, I just think Steel City.
Obviously, but there's a beauty to Pittsburgh outside the steel industry. It's a wonderful city.
Is that your team?
The Steelers are, but I'm
Okay.
a San Francisco Giants baseball fan, which is kind of strange. And I mean, we can get into that. I don't know if we'll have enough time, but
We're just
my
chatting.
older brother was, and I kind of piggybacked off him. Yeah.
I'm a Phillies fan.
Okay.
And
Well,
Chiefs.
That's okay. I'll excuse that today.
He's like, I'm never coming on again. Phillies and Chiefs fans. Oh boy. Where can one, if they want to read it, I don't
Yes.
know how somebody would not want to. It sounds amazing.
Yes.
Where can they get their hands on it?
So you can go to howlinghillspublishing.com. It's spelled exactly, as
How
it
it sounds, yeah.
Yeah. howlinghillspublishing.com. And you can order direct from our website. I'm sure we're on Amazon as well, but, and that's in this day and age, that's a necessary channel for us
Right.
to sell books. But we prefer you come to our website and sign up for our email list. And, we have a lot of things planned in the future. We have other things that might be interesting to the reading public.
Oh, nice little teaser.
Yeah.
Can you tease further upon that? What you working on?
There's right now, Terry is putting together a book on the flood that took place, the flooding in North Carolina and Virginia, and the name of the hurricane escapes me, right? But there was devastation in that area.
Yeah.
So that's something in the works. We just released a calendar from it's an Instagram account called Old Soul Appalachia, and it's some really cool photos and captures like the spirit of that area. So, a lot of different things that we're pursuing right now. But the thing that has me most excited is the sports franchise books, without a doubt.
Who wouldn't? That's like any sports lover's dream. And in our area, I don't think you can go to the grocery store and not see at least 20 people in a hat with their team logo on it.
It's true. And it makes for great conversation, right? Because if you see a fellow Phillies fan, you can either share the joy or you can commiserate and say, did you see that loss last night, right? When they got knocked out of the playoffs.
Don't remind me.
Because I'm not a huge Dodgers fan, and I would, laud any team that knocks the Dodgers out of the playoffs, and let's hope it's the Blue Jays, but I won't go any further with that.
Shout out, good job to the Blue Jays.
I'm speaking like a San Francisco Giants fan. I'm just a little bit biased. Yeah.
Hey, that's fine. We love every kind of entertainment here, and sports are entertainment.
Yeah.
I also, a huge congratulations are in order for you. You will soon publish your first nonfiction book,
Yes.
The Kings of Cork Lane.
Yes.
Talk to me about it. That's awesome.
So the way this took shape, and you'll have to excuse me, I sometimes get a little emotional when I think about this.
Oh, yeah.
My grandpa played minor league baseball in 1912, 1913, and 1914. So I'm the youngest of the youngest, right?
Yeah.
My grandpa was born in 1889. And he had this very interesting life. And he died when I was 10, so I didn't really have a lot of time with him. And when I went out onto newspapers.com, I found a literal treasure trove of information on my grandpa.
Yeah.
He was considered as one of the candidates for the manager to be the manager of the Wilkes-Barre Barons, who played right here in Artillery Park.
Wow.
He played with all these people who had connections to Babe Ruth and all these other major leaguers. And fascinating story. He probably played well into his 40s, and semi-professional baseball around here was very interesting.
Yeah.
So guys got paid a couple bucks to play the game, and then everybody in the stands bet on the games, which is even more intriguing, right? So they had huge crowds. I mean, in my book, I detail a day in DuPont, Pennsylvania, where there was thought to be 6,000 to 7,000 people in the crowd. And I think DuPont right now is only like 4,000 people in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
So it was this huge thing. And what was there to do on Saturdays and Sundays in 1912 or 1913 or 1920 but go to a baseball game, right? So
Fascinating.
I found all this information that I put together, and I originally intended to just do a book on my grandfather, maybe some other guys around here who never made it to the major leagues, right?
Yeah.
But then I kind of mixed in some memoir about me growing up with my brother and our days on the Sandlot and different things we did. And so it's kind of an eclectic mix. It's a lot about my grandpa and how he got to the minor leagues, which is an interesting story in and of itself.
Yeah.
And it has to do with my brother, who's passed away, was actually murdered in 1986.
Oh my goodness.
And then it has a lot to do with baseball history too. So it's kind of an eclectic mix. It's a strange book, but I think if you're a baseball fan, you'll love it. I think there's enough human interest in there that
Plenty of human interest.
Somebody like who's like, I'm a casual baseball fan. I think they'd like it too. So that's how that got started. And then my friend Mike Aquilina, who's a Catholic scholar, he's a patristic scholar. He lives in Pittsburgh. I sent him the manuscript, and I was like, well, I don't know. And Mike, he absolutely loved the book. He's like, I'm obsessed. We're getting this published. So if anyone knows a good book, like Mike does, so I was over the moon when he told me this, and he has been a super valuable asset in helping me, directionally and getting this to a publisher. And he also hooked me up with an editor who passed away in July. Jane worked with me for a year, and she ran into some, I feel I have to mention her on this podcast, Jane Greer. She was in South Dakota. We'd never met, but she shaped this book. She reined me in, as my friend Terry Shaw would, because I like to write flowery and kind of, I like to put maybe cram too much into too small of a package, right?
Yeah.
So she took my book, she shaped it, she made it what it is today. Got a lot out of it. And once again, you kind of get upset because, William Faulkner said, I think as he put it, you have to be able to kill your precious darlings, right?
Right.
And that's the life of a writer, is you say, but I worked so hard on this and I love this part, but in a book, it has to go.
Listen.
In a story, it has to go.
Right.
You understand the editing process.
Yes, of course, because when I produce, I'm like, I'll go to one of my anchors and I'll be like, don't take that out. That line's great. Don't move it. And they'll take it out. And I respect it because I'm writing like that, and that's not how they would talk. There's so much. You've given me so much to work with. This is fascinating.
So you feel my pain is from the editing process, right?
1000%. We're going to take a quick break. You're going to stick around?
I'd be more than happy to. Thank you.
We'll be right back. We are back from break. I'm joined once again with Tom Tracy, just a fountain of knowledge. I've learned so many things in just 15 minutes of our episode. I can't thank you enough for joining me today.
Thank you. And once again, I was a bit nervous at the outset, right? But you've made you've helped me relax and made it really easy on me. It's been a pleasure thus far. Thank you.
I also paid him to say that. We've talked about your anthologies, we've talked about your works, but I want to go back to the very beginning. What made you start writing?
So I'll give you a really early memory, and that starts with one Mother's Day where my older brother, who was kind of a mischievous dude, stole flowers out of the neighbor's garden and presented them to my mom, before she woke up with this nice vase. And I was about, 8 or 9. I'm thinking, well, I don't have any money. What am I going to do? I can't go steal flowers because I'll probably get caught. He didn't.
Yeah.
But, I got out my crayon and construction paper, and I think I wrote her a little poem, and it kind of blossomed from there. And I always had, I always read. I always was reading, and that's important advice to budding writers, is to read all you possibly can, right? So I like to write. I was a stringer for the Times Leader in the late 80s. But I had no college degree, right? So I dropped out of college, out of Penn State, regrettably, and I couldn't catch on as a regular reporter for the newspaper. So I went my way. I got into the insurance business once again, regrettably, and writing went away for a long time, right? Come to 2017, when one of my sons was going to college, I didn't want to West Virginia. I didn't want him to be stuck with all his debt. So I'm like, I got to do something. And what could I do to try and help him out on a part-time basis? So I started to write for Content Mills.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of anything like this, but you do these blogs for them. And at the time, believe it or not, they were paying me $8 a pop, right?
Okay, not
and
bad.
I stressed over these things to get them right, and they wouldn't even use them. If they didn't use them, they didn't pay you. So I caught a break with a company called Investopedia. Investopedia, if you go check a financial term on the web, they'll usually be the first to come up. Like if you check stock options, they'll define it, they'll give you a story. So once I had that, I had clips right now to share, and I started to write business blogs, insurance blogs, stuff that fell within the realm of my subject matter expertise during my day job.
Of course.
And then my friend Terry, who I mentioned, Terry Shaw, the owner of Howling Hills Publishing, said, hey, if you could write, what would you want to write about? And I had to think about it for a minute. And, I'm a sports guy. And I started, even before he'd asked me that question, it was a fictionalized account of my grandfather's tale. But I didn't have enough information. I didn't dig into newspapers.com. And I kind of ditched that. And then all of a sudden, this book just came, this idea came to me, and I worked very feverishly on it. And, here we are. So after all those years of maybe going to sleep, like, Rip Van Winkle for 25 years with the writing thing,
Yeah.
you find out that you haven't lost it. You haven't lost the passion. You haven't lost the desire to produce. So the book came together, the story opportunities came together, and I keep, I keep plugging on. So that's basically how it all happened.
And you're using your writing talents and what you know about the industry to shape young writers and young minds. Tell me about that.
Yeah, if I can. So we have there's a writers group at the West Pittston Library. I'm also involved with a group of playwrights in Scranton at the Diva Theater.
Nice.
It's the Old Brick Theater on Market Street in Scranton. So we meet there about once a month. So I do take a stab at playwriting. I have one that I've been told has some potential, so who knows?
Okay.
And then, I have, young and old. I mean, I have a friend who's trying to get a book self-published. Her husband passed recently, and she made a promise to him that she'd get it published. So I'm helping her kind of shape that, right? And I help her with short stories. And that's one of the most gratifying parts of this whole thing, is that when you can share that knowledge and share what you know and help people get to that level where they see their name on a byline, it's an awesome feeling. So it's really cool to be able to do that.
And how could people take part in those writing sessions at the Pittston Library?
So at West Pittston Library, it's on there. We meet typically once a month, and I was remiss, I hadn't gone there for a while. And that's usually advertised on their website, right?
Okay.
So anybody can come, anybody at any level. We have people at all levels, beginners, people who are more advanced. I'm always happy to share my knowledge. Jess Niemiec is the moderator, and she's if I'm not mistaken, she's a local professor at one of the universities, and she's willing to help anybody as well. So that's an outlet, right? But I'm approachable as an individual with other people. Like, they'll come to me and say, hey, I have this idea. I'm always happy to help,
So when you're not being a jack of all writing trades, what does Tom Tracy just do for fun?
For fun, I like to cycle.
Okay.
I've been remiss. I haven't been on my bike in a while. So I have to get back to that. I collect, as you would probably imagine, I like to collect pre-war baseball cards and memorabilia.
Fascinating.
So it's like really old stuff around the time my grandpa played. That interests me more than the stuff that's kind of mass produced today.
Yeah.
And my friend Mike Aquilina, who I mentioned, he and I started collecting cards when we were like 11 or 10. And, we were like inseparable buddies at that point in time. And then, things progress. You start to like music, and then girls come into the picture, and the baseball card thing kind of went to rest. And then now I kind of revived it with this book. And, I love spending time with my family. Obviously, right?
Yeah. Who doesn't?
And I play really bad golf with my boys when I can.
I'll stick to mini golf.
We have a dog, and I like taking him down on the riverbank in West Pittston there, and enjoy my day job. I work with a great group of people at Geisinger, so yeah.
Wonderful. Just all around. I can't say enough great things about you, how wonderful just your writing is. Is it safe to say, though, that your play is probably baseball based?
No, it's not. It's heavily autobiographical.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit darker than that, I would say.
Okay.
Dark's probably not the right. It's true life, fictionalized a little bit. I don't know that I'll ever get it staged or get it to where I want it to be, but
just the fact you did it.
There's a possibility. Yeah, there is that.
We're going to be wrapping up soon, and I don't want to. We're going to one more time, remind people when the King of Cork Lane comes out.
Yeah, our hope is early 2020, early 2026.
Okay.
So we're waiting on this person to do the forward. So we are praying that he's probably in principle agreed to it. It's just Major League Baseball's approval at this point.
Right.
Who knows, with everything going on, the World Series right now, it might be a bad time, but who knows, it may be quicker than that. And we may have to pivot very quickly to get somebody else to do it. If not, but my hope is that everything else is ready to go. The art, well, the pictures that'll be included, and the manuscript's obviously finished and edited, but I'm hoping early 2026.
That's great.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Yeah. I want a copy.
I'll get you an autographed copy.
Yes, please. That would be awesome.
Yeah, because I appreciate this opportunity to share, my experience so much.
Thank you. And then we talked about that one last time. 23, 24, 25 Tales are all out now.
They are available on howlinghillspublishing.com or, Amazon. But we would like you to come through
go to Howling Hills.
Go to howlinghillspublishing.com and see what else we have,
all the good stuff you're cooking up.
Yeah, absolutely. Sign up for our email list. We won't bombard you with spam. There might be information on one of our releases. Come to the website. It's a much more pleasant place than the other alternative.
Tom Tracy, thank you for joining me on the red carpet.
Thanks, Allison. Thank you so much.
Until next time, guys. Joey, roll the outro.